Somebody finally got to him. I mean, he did go to first 18 saves this year without a blown save, so had a nice little run. I couldn't expect him to close out every single time. I mean, it was bound to happen. Just sucks that it had to happen against the Mets. It's the bottom line. Gave up 3 consecutive hits.
Wouldn't you rather have it happen against the Mets than like the Red Sox or something though?
The Mets and the Red Sox are the two teams I wouldn't want it to happen against.
Okay. I respect. I mean, I get it. I understand why Yankee fan. As a Yankee fan, you wouldn't want to see the Mets be the team that did it to them. But
this is just something the Met fans will hang their cap on all year. Oh, every time a Yankee
it's about
fan,
the only thing Mets fans will have to hang their hat on. But
every time a Yankee fan brings up, oh yeah, how about the Mets? Mets are gonna go, oh, what did we do to Mariano? It's just the way Met fans are gonna be. But I understand it because you got a whole, it's a nice
a very,
win for them.
very long season of nothing
This is
positive.
3 straight games where they've had late inning heroics. They've won their last 3 games.
First 3-game win streak of the year.
So maybe they're starting to pick up the pace a little bit.
See, I don't know. I'm sitting here like first 3-game win streak of the year. Yankees are on their first 3-game losing streak of the year. Well, the Yankees starting to struggle, or the Mets starting to play good, and I think it sort of gets a little more blown up because it's New York team versus New York team, so it draws even more attention to it. But I think when the bottom line is said and done, the Yankees and their fans are enjoying postseason baseball while Met fans are doing what they do every year and wondering what the following year will be like. Because I agree with you. And as a Mets fan, well, we've made fun of Dave more than enough for pointing out the fact that I just say I'm a Mets fan more than anything else. But I can definitely see what you're saying. I know for damn sure I know enough Met fans that are actually die-hard Met fans that will hang their hat on yesterday's game. It will be, for the most part, the highlight of their year. And it is what it is. I mean, it was a hell of a pitcher's duel between Kuroda and Harvey yesterday. It was a great game for fans that love pitching duels. Both guys pitched very well. Harvey ends up with the no decision because it's a 1-0 game going into the bottom of the 9th. You bring Rivera out. I actually didn't even see the Mets win. I didn't, because when down 1-0 going into the bottom of the 9th, I watched Rivera walk out, and I'm like, yeah, this is over. I actually did. I went back over to the hockey game between the Kings and the Sharks because it was a 2-1 game with 9 minutes left, and I'm like, well, this has more likely will surprise me than the Mets-Yankees game. Like that's how my thought process went. I'm like, well, Rivera's out, 18 for 18, Mets struggle. So like I didn't even know that they let off the 9th with a double. Like I didn't learn any of that. Like I'm sitting there watching a hockey game. I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened with the Met game. And I flip back over, and they've already got the Angels-Dodgers game on. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess Rivera came out and closed it out. Because, I mean, I was only gone for maybe 10, 15 minutes of real time. Like I wasn't gone for a long period.
It was good timing, actually, with the basketball game because the Heat Pacers ended, and I was able to turn on the 9th inning for the Yankees and then watch Mariano blow the save. So it actually ended up working out good if you were watching the basketball game and then flipping over to the Yankee game. Either way,
would have been obviously better if you watched Rivera close it than watching him blow it. But I know what you're trying to say, timing-wise, for a fan. And you know what? I will say that was the one thing I was thinking last night. I was very shocked to see all 3 of those games, all pretty much being broadcasted at the same time. Now, the Yankees-Mets game had, an hour rain delay or something like that? So, I mean, it did push the game back, which ended up, in my opinion, benefiting baseball and the teams as well, because one of the guys I worked with made a really good point to me. The Mets themselves and baseball themselves knew that they had to do their best to get that game on air and not delay it. The amount of people that, went and bought tickets for that game, that wanted to watch, Rivera in Citi Field, that wanted to watch, Harvey pitch, the combination of all the different factors of that game. Major League Baseball and the Mets and Yankees all knew how important it was to get that game played. So you knew they were going to wait as long as they possibly could without canceling the game. And for fans, I'm glad they didn't, because a 1-0 game going into the bottom of the 9th, great pitchers duel. You really couldn't beat it. I mean, but do you think people are overreacting with the whole Mets are, maybe the Mets are starting to find their pace and the Yankees are starting to struggle? Like, is that a little bit of an overreaction? I mean, 3-game win streak for the Mets, 3-game lose streak for the Yankees. I really feel like that's a little too much to get overly excited about or overly down on. Am I right in feeling like that, or is it some cause for concern if you're a
No,
Yankee
it's
fan?
not a
Or
cause for concern.
yeah, I didn't think so. And I mean, as a Met fan, I don't think it's a cause for you to get overly excited because they've won 3 in a row. I just don't. I mean, you have Harvey on the mound. They don't put up a single run until the bottom of the ninth. I mean, it's very similar to when you almost watch Felix Hernandez pitch out in Seattle. Guy pitches gems and still loses because his team can't score. You can't waste the start of your best pitcher and not put up any runs. And that's what the Mets almost did yesterday. And that's how I look at yesterday's game. Like, wow, they got, you get Mariano Rivera to blow his first save of the year. First time in his career that he ever went out to save a game and didn't even get a single out. But from my mindset, I'm like, you still blew an opportunity where your ace pitcher gives up only 1 run, pitches extremely well, and yet you needed the bottom of the ninth against one of the greatest closers to ever play the game to squeak out a win. No. Am I excited about a 3-game win streak? No, I'm not. I sit there and say to myself, well, you squeaked out a 2-1 win against them on Tuesday or on Monday, and you squeaked out a 2-1 win against them on Tuesday. Now, does a win like yesterday maybe help them build momentum? That I might see. Where you're like, wow, we were able to get past Rivera, we were able to, pull out this win that we probably shouldn't have pulled out. I could see that maybe helping them build momentum. But to sit here and say that, there's cause for concern for the Yankees and reasons for excitement for the Mets, I think is an overreaction on both sides of the fence, personally.